So, bro, what's up?
Alison, I have not one, not two.
Three. Come on, three.
But three things for you today. Yes. Okay. So here we go. Number one, financial voodoo never pays. So gather around, children,
What?
as I tell the tale of Dawn Bennett, who was once a respected financial advisor with a radio show, online clothing store, and in 2009, she made Barron's list of top 100 women financial advisors.
Oh, no, and here comes the voodoo.
Yes, that was then. As for now, Bennett was recently sentenced to 20 years in prison for defrauding 46 investors of approximately $20 million.
Wow.
Primarily by inducing them to invest in her clothing store and promising 15% annual returns. So where did the money actually go?
But why would that be illegal to because she didn't actually invest it in their business.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, there we got it. I'm sorry. I'm still hinging on the hope that there's actual voodoo in this story.
Oh, you wait.
Okay.
You wait.
Okay.
So here's a quote, long quote from Investment News, a trade publication about where this money went. Quote, the evidence showed that Ms. Bennett misappropriated investor funds, using them to fund a lavish lifestyle, pay her personal legal expenses, and repay previous investors with funds she received from new investors. In other words, Ponzi scheme. But they also charged that she used the money to pay for a luxury suite at the Dallas Cowboys football stadium, to pay a website operator to arrange for priests in India to perform religious ceremonies to ward off federal regulators.
Wow.
And to purchase astrological gems and for cosmetic medical procedures. End quote. By the way, do you know how much it would cost to hire those priests in India?
No.
$800,000.
What?
I wonder if
she should get her money back.
I'd say so. Okay.
Right?
And then there's this quote from financialplanning.com. When FBI agents searched her penthouse, they came across evidence of voodoo-type witchcraft.
Ooh.
Bennett allegedly had instructions for how to put people under a beef tongue shut-up hoodoo spell.
Shut up, voodoo spell.
Purportedly intended to silence individuals. And FBI agents also found 2 freezers containing sealed mason jars with SEC attorneys identifying information.
What?
Suggesting that she had cast the hoodoo spell several times in order to paranormally silence those pursuing the case, according to an FBI affidavit submitted in court filings.
Oh, my gosh.
And it turns out it wasn't just clients she fooled banks as well, again, according to the financialplanning.com article. To secure a $750,000 line of credit in May of 2015, Bennett falsely told a bank that she had a brokerage account with a net portfolio worth over $4 million. But in actuality, her net worth was just $35.
Wow.
Yes. So the lesson here, of course, is that here's a financial advisor who has all the trappings of success. Radio show, Barron's list.
Mason jars full of beef tongues.
Exactly.
Beef tongues, I guess cow tongues, whatever.
So regardless of all those things, you have to make sure that whatever you are actually investing in is an actual thing. And I would definitely say that any time a financial advisor wants you to invest in something that she or he owns, or something that is off the radar of just general stocks and bonds, be very careful. Number 2.
How can you beat number 1?
Yeah, that's a tough one to beat. Anyways, number 2, 403 BS. So we talk a lot on this show about 401ks, but many workers, particularly those that work for nonprofits or governments or in education, they have something called a 403b, which the rules are very similar to 401ks. The difference is that with 403bs, often annuities are involved, which can drive up costs, and sometimes political pressure is involved, which is often not in the interest of the employees. So a recent example was highlighted in a post by financial planner Tony Isola. He's a former social studies teacher who blogs at a site called A Teachable Moment. Highly recommend it. So his post was basically on 2 rules that were changed for Pennsylvania, teachers in Pennsylvania and Texas. I don't want to get into all the details, but if you are a teacher in those states, definitely go to his site to learn about it. But I did want to highlight one thing that he pointed out just to show how political pressure can influence 403bs. So he talked about how in Texas, it used to have some just ludicrously high caps on the fees for 403bs, such as you could only have a front-end load or back-end load no higher than 6%, and annual expenses couldn't be higher than 2.75%.
Wow.
Which is just ridiculous because no one should be paying anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
So what did Texas decide to do? Did they decide to lower these caps? No, they decided to just get rid of the caps altogether.
There you go. Problem solved.
That's right. And so these are thanks to a bill introduced by State Representative Dan Flynn. What was Flynn's rationale? He said limiting fees may not only reduce product offerings, but also limits a company's ability to provide services, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah is right.
Exactly. And further, focusing only on fees ignores product performance and could deny teachers access to the products that may have higher returns.
Won't somebody think of the teachers?
Of course, Tony, in his post, points out that Flynn's top contributors in terms of to his
campaigns and all his,
an estimated $286,000 from the finance and banking industries.
That's all.
Right.
Doesn't it make you upset when you actually find out how much someone has been lobbied? Like how little amount of money it takes to lobby someone to do a lot of harm.
It's crazy. There's also an article I read about him that he's like number 2 in terms of the top spending state Congress folks. Like he even charged his Netflix subscription to his campaign. Like he's kind of an interesting character. Anyways, point being, everyone out there, particularly with 403B, but everyone, expenses do matter. Study after study after study have shown it. If you have a 403B, choose the lowest cost option available to you. And number 3, we have a carpenter builds a lasting legacy. Now, since we're on the verge of another football season, I was tempted to talk about Washington Redskins running back Adrian Peterson. Have you heard about him?
No, I don't follow sports ball.
Okay, well, anyways, he has earned over $100 million over his career. But is now being sued by multiple parties for defaulting on loans worth millions of dollars.
Here I was hoping it was going to be a good story.
But I got a good one coming.
Okay.
So anyways, how could he have blown so much money?
Indian curses and beef tongues. We know this story.
No, bad advice and lavish spending. So here's how the website 9.com described the birthday party that Peterson threw for himself when he turned 30. Quote, the party itself was set to an Arabian theme and featured belly dancers, snake charmers, and a rented lemur. Peterson also had Oscar-winning actor Jamie Foxx DJ the event. The NFL star arrived at the party sitting on top of a camel and then took his seat on top of a pretend throne with a python draped around his shoulders.
Perfect.
But I'm not going to discuss Adrian Peterson because I want to end this What's Up, Bro on a positive note. So instead, I'd like to tell you about Dale Schroeder, who was a carpenter in Iowa for 67 years before he died in 2005. He died with 2 pairs of jeans, a rusty old Chevy, and $3 million.
Wow.
And he didn't have any living relatives, so he created a fund that would send small-town kids from Iowa to college because he said he never had that chance. So to date, the fund has paid for the educations for 33 kids.
Wow.
Doctors, teachers, therapists, all kinds of professions. They formed a group called Dale's Kids, and this past July, they all gathered together for dinner, which featured a display that included pictures of Dale, as well as Dale's old lunch pail. It was there.
No rented ferrets? Or what was it, lemurs? Rented lemurs?
No lemurs or anything like that.
They have no idea how to throw a party.
So one of these people, her name was Kira Conrad. She said, I grew up in a single-parent household, and I had 3 older sisters, so paying for all 4 of us was never an option for a man that would never meet me to give me basically a full ride to college. That's incredible. And she learned about it at her high school graduation party. She was going to tell folks that I just can't go to college. I don't have the money. She got the phone call from Dale's lawyer saying, we are going to cover your whole cost. Wow. Of course, she broke down in tears. So the fund is administered by Dale's lawyer, a guy named Steve Nielsen, who has told the kids, quote, all we ask is that you pay it forward. You can't pay it back because Dale is gone, but you can remember him and you can emulate him. And that, Allison, is What's Up.